Goeiemôre, good morning. Ons is hier om die volgende uur saam met jou te spandeer om jou dag op die regte noot af te skop.
Inderdaad so, en maak nou nie saak waarmee jy besig is nie, want sommige mense is dalk besig om gereed te maak vir werk. Ander is dalk besig om 'n koppie koffie of tee te geniet, of besig met ontbyt, of om die kinders gereed te kry vir skool. Maak nie saak nie, ons is hier om jou geselskap te hou.
Inderdaad, en hier is wat op vandag se program gebeur. Ons begin met 'n gesprek oor die Suid-Afrikaanse gesondheidsorgstelsel wat onder druk is, en Summit se Monica Lucas gesels met ons oor die impak wat onbetaalde mediese skuld op pasiëntsorg en verskaffers het. Volgende hoor ons oor die nuwe Basketball National League seisoen wat aan die gang is. Ben Meiburg vertel meer oor die groei van die sport in Suid-Afrika. The Wild Cafe kom kuier in die ateljee en ons gunsteling.
Sê die naam? Jy moet eers die naam sê.
O nee, Kurt Darren.
As hy.
Is hier
Kurt Darren.
met sy nuwe enkelsnit, lang arm en liefde. So dit gaan 'n heerlike program wees.
Ek sien so uit daarna, en spesifiek na daai onderhoud ook, want jy weet, Kurt is soos 'n vriend by hierdie. Hy is 'n vriend.
Hy is,
Goeiemôre, good morning.
Hy is rarig.
Onthou jy oor Wurm?
Dit was, kan ons ooit vir oorwurm vergeet? Kan ons ooit? Nee, dit was die beste, ek dink ons het die beste poging tot 'n musiekvideo gemaak vir daai liedjie.
Absoluut.
Dit was rarig ongelooflik. So hy kom ook bietjie later in, gaan lekker wees om bietjie met Kurt te chat. Ons beweeg nou aan na ons oggendpraatjies, and we are taking this one to the roads. South Africans may soon no longer need to display a physical license disc on their vehicles. The Road Traffic Management Corporation, or the RTMC, has announced plans to move to a fully digital system that uses number plate scanning technology to verify vehicle registrations. This move is made as authorities prepare to crack down on widespread fraud involving fake license discs and illegally obtained driver's licenses. Investigations have uncovered criminal networks involving driving examiners, traffic officials, and even members of SAPS, with fraudulent licenses reportedly being sold for between R3,500 and R14,000. To address this, traffic officers could soon be equipped with digital e-force devices that can instantly scan number plates, verify vehicle information, and issue traffic fines electronically. These devices are expected to play an important role in the national rollout of the ARTO system. The announcement forms part of South Africa's broader digital transformation plans. The government is reportedly also working on a digital ID system through the My Mzansi platform, which is expected to support digital driving licenses and other official documents before the end of 2026. Hoor jy dit? Voor die einde van die jaar. Okay, 6 maande. Supporters of this move will say that it will make administration easier, reduce fraud, and modernize the country's traffic systems. However, questions remain around privacy, system reliability, and whether motorists will fully embrace a digital-only future.
So vanaf e-tol na e-force.
E-force, let's e-enforce these laws.
Weet jy wat? Ek dink daai vraag wat nou ontstaan het, ek dink dit is 'n goeie ding. Ek is altyd, jy weet, ten gunste van tegnologiese vooruitgang en dinge wat die proses 'n bietjie makliker kan maak. Maar ek wonder altyd of ons huidige stelsel die kapasiteit het, verstaan, en of dit volhoubaar is.
Ja.
Ook in die verskillende provinsies.
Exactly. And that's always the question, is that if they are able to do fraudulent things on the paper stuff, there will be someone who's figured out a way of actually falsifying the digital stuff. And maybe I'm being negative, and I'm really not trying to be negative. I think this is definitely a step in the right direction, so don't get me wrong. But what I am trying to say is, if we are going to do this, we must do it properly.
Yeah.
So what is maybe giving me a little bit of time to pause and not be too excited about the move in the more digital direction is, have they given themselves enough time to create a foolproof system?
Yes, the deadline is
I feel like it's very tight, but what do we know?
Yeah.
Maybe they've been working on this for 5 years, and now we're only finding out about it now because they are now publicizing it and releasing the information to the media, which is great, because now we know that there is going to be some sense of, okay, ons moet nie, weet jy wat vir my die beste gaan wees, Elsa?
Ek luister.
Van hierdie digitale lisensieskyfie is daai geuitsnyery.
Ek stem
Hierdie
saam.
in 'n sirkel. Is ek nou weer in die kleuterskool? Wat gaan aan? Nou moet how have we in 2026 not perforated that disc yet?
Dis baie waar en ek wil by jou aansluit daar en sê myne is nooit netjies genoeg nie. Jy weet en dan is ek sommer net negatief. En dan moet jy daai ander dingetjie daar probeer uitkry en die ander en daar probeer inskuif. So ek is net ek dink by myself dat ek stem saam met jou dan in daai opsig is ons opgewonde.
En ons praat oor die privaatheid en so voort, nê? Wat gaan hulle doen by die booms en estates en komplekse waar jy jou hele lewensverhaal vir hulle moet vertel voordat hulle jou inlaat? I know that it's a security thing, but sometimes I think they are quite extreme.
Nee, ek stem heeltemal saam met jou en ek dink daar's baie keer gesloer wat heeltemal onnodig is of die sogenaamde antwoord van the system is offline. So dis hoekom ek sê ja, jy's heeltemal reg. Ek dink wanneer 'n mens kyk na hierdie kwessie, is daar soveel faktore wat 'n mens in ag moet neem, na aanleiding van ander stelsels wat ook by hierdie stelsel gaan moet aanpas.
That's why I think the deadline is way too soon. I think it's way too soon. Also, the other thing is that sometimes a hard copy of something is actually really good to have. Like for instance, ons werk albei by Jacaranda, né? En daar is 'n access control stelsel daar.
Ja.
So jy moet 'n kaartjie hê of jy moet die toepassing op jou foon hê. Watter een het jy gekies?
Die toepassing.
Ek het nou weer die kaartjie gekies because what happens when I get a new phone? Then I must also go through the whole process or whatever. Or hopefully these apps are going to be completely like, you know, those ones where you can, like your banking app, you can log in even if you don't have data or whatever.
Ja.
You know, so vir my is 'n harde kopie van iets altyd so, dit is vir my soos 'n safety blanket.
Dit is so, kom ek sê nie gou-gou vir jou waarom die keuse vir die toepassing.
Yes.
Want dit is so tegnologie kan baie keer, jy kan nie altyd daarop staat maak nie. So ek was bietjie bekommerd daar ook gewees, maar ek is altyd bang daai kaart ek verloor hom iewers. Jy weet of ek sit hom vinnig in by my deur en dan val hy uit.
In 'n plek waar jy nou nie daarby kan
Ja.
uit
Ek het al sleutels so verloor raas.
Ja.
Maar ja, ek dink daar's baie vrae rakende hierdie spesifieke kwessie. So kom ons hoop dat dit suksesvol uitgevoer sal word. Dit sal darem 'n pleintjie wees vir ons
Dit sal.
departement en
Dit
almal
sal.
wat betrokke is.
And I think it can be done. If it can't be done, please just perforate the license discs. Please.
Ja.
That's
Ja.
all I'm asking.
Ja, ons doen daai beroep nou op wie ook al ingeskakel is wat kan help. Ek stem saam met jou. Goed. Nou van lisensieskyfies na jou gesondheid toe. Jou gesondheid verdien kwaliteit wat jy kan vertrou. Met Gulf Drug Company kry jy bekostigbare noodsaaklike medisyne vir die hele gesin, van pynverligting tot vitamiene en meer. Gulf Drug Company fokus op hoë kwaliteit en internasionale standaarde sodat jy met gemoedsrus kan kies. Besoek gulfdrug.co.za vandag om meer van Zycrol te ontdek en neem beheer van jou gesondheid. Gulf Drug Company, kwaliteitsorg elke dag. Ons is nou weer terug.
You're watching Goeiemorgen, good morning. South Africa's public healthcare system is under growing pressure and concerns are now being raised about the impact of unpaid supplier debt on patient care. The South African Medical Technology Industry Association, better known as SAMED, has called for urgent action after revealing that hundreds of millions of rands are owed to medical technology suppliers in Gauteng alone. The association warns that delayed payments and ongoing procurement challenges are placing both healthcare services and the business that supply essential medical equipment at risk. Joining us now to unpack the situation is board member of SAMED, Monica Lewis. Monica, welcome to Goeiemorgen, good morning.
Good morning, and thank you so much for having us.
For our viewers who may not be familiar with the issue, can you explain the scale of the supplier debt crisis currently facing Gauteng's healthcare system?
Certainly. So this unfortunately has been a crisis that's been facing the healthcare sector for well over a decade. We do a monthly poll with our member companies to understand the level of the debt that's currently sitting, and over the years that figure has snowballed and snowballed. I know recently we've reported a quarter of a billion rand. I'm well aware that this figure is certainly probably more in the region of 1.5 billion rand at our estimate figures.
So how do you go about actually collecting that? Because like you said, the initial figure was estimated at roughly R250 million, but it's closer to almost 5 times that. So how do you even begin to try and get those funds in for the suppliers that are affected?
Sadly, with a great deal of work, and certainly platforms like this to create awareness and make it a lot easier for us. So SAMED is a voluntary a healthcare association for trade suppliers within the space. So the data we collect is actually only from our own membership base. We are fully aware that we do not represent every single medical device supplier in South Africa. And that list is very far-reaching. Gauteng Health has recognized that they have got over 8 billion sitting and owing to suppliers, and the MEC has publicly noted that. So the figure that we're aware of to our member suppliers is probably sitting at about 1.5 billion rand that they owe to current suppliers, and that figure rolls back over the last couple of years. It is not. Unfortunately, it's a current accrued debt sitting on their books, but the debt comes from 2020, 21, 2022. It goes as far back as that at this stage.
Sure, and we know at that point we were still facing COVID and all of those repercussions that came with that. So in terms of the suppliers and the services that were being offered, it was even of a bigger scale than what we would be looking at now. You mentioned suppliers, Monica. What kind of businesses and services and products are being provided to hospitals that are causing this massive debt?
So Medix Technology is a vast array of product lines. It goes from something as small as the plasters that they use to put on a fingertip to a surgical glove that they use in a hospital theatre environment, all the way through to a knee replacement, a cardiovascular stent, an MRI machine or an X-ray machine, to the in vitro diagnostic pathology testing kits that they use to do blood tests. It is millions upon millions of items that the healthcare space relies on a daily basis just to provide basic care to patients.
Why is this issue about more than just unpaid invoices, and how could it ultimately affect patient care and the quality thereof?
So we're well aware that, patient care cannot stop. And I think that's the challenge that we're facing at the moment. From a state and public sector perspective, they have to continue providing services in facing COVID or financial challenges. No matter what, they have to find a way. As suppliers, from an ethical perspective, we completely agree with that parameter, and we understand that it is our due diligence as suppliers within the sector to continue that healthcare provision to ensure patients get that care. But where does the line end? That's where we are sitting at the moment. Is at what point in time is it not okay for private sector to continue to bankroll public sector debt? And that's exactly where we're sitting. So from a SAMED perspective, we represent multinationals, but majority of our members are actually small to medium-sized businesses, local companies, local manufacturers who cannot continue to pay their bills. They cannot. We have companies that are facing retrenchments, closing doors. Companies that are running into significant debt, carrying overdrafts with financial institutions just to be able to pay their electrical bills.
Yeah, and you think of the SMEs, everyone is not a huge med tech company that can sustain themselves with such massive amounts of money outstanding. Now, SAMED says that suppliers have continued supporting public healthcare despite the significant financial strain. This can't be sustainable.
It's not. At this point in time, the crisis is reaching an untenable level for suppliers, and we are seeing a number of suppliers considering now whether continuing to supply the public sector in particular is a viable status for their business to continue in. We have had some encouraging news now with the NEC from Gauteng. She's been doing a roadshow at the institutions from an accountability perspective to actually address the bottlenecks at hospital level that are preventing these payments from being processed.
Yes. I'm so glad that you brought that up, Monica, because what are some of the underlying issues that are creating these administrative issues and the non-payment of invoices?
So it's a compounded effect. It's a shortage of staff availability in certain environments, supply chain management and finance to be able to process the documents. I was listening to your conversation earlier about where technology plays its role and whether it can or can't help. And this is one of those spaces where I think technology certainly could add value, but currently it's not in place. So everything is being done on a manual perspective, which leads to paperwork being lost, people not being available because they are ill or on study leave, who aren't able to process paperwork in a timeliest manner. And it just compounds that impact. And it's the process is very, very challenging, getting paperwork to go from A to B. And ultimately, at the end of the day, we are very reliant on the institution staff to assist us in getting those processes fulfilled. And it's bottlenecking at the moment, which is causing this backlog of payment ultimately.
So beyond settling of the current debt, what reforms are needed to stop this from happening again in the future?
So we are, from a SAMED perspective, we've asked for a clearer accountability at institution level and as well as provincial office level. The NEC in Gauteng is certainly trying to promise that at this stage. We have asked that there be consideration of some changes from the system side, which I know is a big ask when you're dealing with government. But it is something that we have requested that the consideration goes to looking at technology to see where that can expedite systems and assist their staff in being able to be more effective and impactful in the jobs that they do. We have also called for an accounting of the exact debt that is owed and for timeliest payment plans to be put into place with suppliers so that there is a manageable frame that we can all work within to continue to supply that healthcare to the patient.
Monica, we've got about 30 seconds left, and I'd just like to ask about what the future looks like. How would success look from your perspective over the next couple of months?
So for us, success would be the accrued debt gets settled outright, and that is going to take quite a lot of work and support as well from a national level as well. But at this stage, what we would like to see is getting that debt settled and ultimately reverting to the required 30-day payment structures for healthcare suppliers. And if we can get that right, the public sector healthcare framework will certainly function a lot better for everyone.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Monica. What an interesting chat. Monica Lucas from SAMED. Bly ingeskakel. Ons is nou weer terug en ons gesels oor basketbal.
Jy kyk na Goeiemôre, Good Morning, the Sporttyd. Ek is Arnold Gertz. The new Basketball National League season started on the 6th of June, ushering in another exciting chapter for South African basketball. And as teams battle for the winning spot in what promises to be a highly competitive season yet again, where we're joined by one or two of the players helping us drive the growth of the game in South Africa. Ben Marburg and then Tinswalo Sitole. Really nice to have you guys with us and really appreciate your time. Ben, let's start off with you. How has the league gone so far and how strong is it if you compare it, I know it's early days, to last year, 2025?
The league is going pretty well so far. My team is yet to play. We're actually playing this weekend. But from the matches that were starting last week, it's already very exciting to see the guys get out on the court and play. Definitely a lot more excited this year. A couple of teams have some new kits, and it's awesome to see the energy that the guys are bringing this year. So definitely excited.
looking forward to seeing that myself, actually. Titswalo, talk to us about the strength of the game in South Africa, because I can recall 25 years ago when it first started really finding a spot in South African sport. How has it gone with that?
To begin with, I only started playing basketball 2 months ago, so
Okay.
I'm not really familiar with how basketball started,
Okay.
but I think going forward, I'm really excited with the opportunities that it brings forward.
I have to ask you this on air. How tall are you?
I'm 187 centimeters.
Right, okay. You'd make it into the Springbok women's team, no doubt, and maybe even into the men's team, who knows?
Yeah.
Ben, I from my experience commentating on it 25 years ago at first, it seems like it's finding a foothold in South Africa as a sport. I know, I hate calling it that, but unfortunately it's still one of the Cinderella sports. How do you see it developing, and what will it need to get to the next level in South African sport?
Well, it's very exciting across all levels at the moment. Even when we're looking at high school basketball, like it's really starting to take off on social media as well. That's really helped drive the sport. I think really all we need is just people to come into the sport and just drive it with sponsorships and just putting it on a proper platform, you know, because the talent is there, you know.
Quite clearly.
Yeah.
What brought you to basketball just a few months ago? Other than your height?
Okay, yeah. So I was playing netball, like I mentioned. So I noticed that things were not working out for me. And then this one time I went to the BAL league last year. And then so many people asked me, like, do you play basketball? And I was like, no, I don't play basketball. They were like, no, go try it out and see if it works for you. And then I think beginning of April, I texted one of my friends and I was like, yo, I want to try basketball and see how it works for me. But I didn't go there with expectations. I just went there to enjoy. But I mean, look at me today. Like, I've made it this far and I'm very grateful for that.
Talk to me about the differences between netball and basketball. How do you see it, and how has netball helped you develop as a basketball player?
With netball, it has helped me to be like mentally tough. You know, I don't really think there's much of a difference besides like dribbling the ball, and the competitiveness, it's the same basically. So I think I am where I am today because of netball, honestly. Like the athleticism that has, you know, shaped me into the person that I am is because of netball.
Love that word, athleticism. Obviously, you're American. Talk to us about where you're from originally and what brought you to South Africa, Ben.
I'm actually not American.
Oh, really?
Afrikaans.
Hy sê ja, en hier sit ek in Engels praat met jou. So, gesels met my. Waar kom jou Amerikaanse aksent vandaan? Is jy soontoe college toe?
Nee, so ek was in George gebore. En dan het ek Taiwan toe getrek
Ja.
toe ek 5 was.
Okay.
Ek het daar in Taiwan vir 15 jaar gebly en ek was by 'n Amerikaanse skool.
So that's where this comes from.
Exactly,
Okay, brilliant. Love to hear that. And is that where the basketball, the love for basketball came from?
Exactly. I've been playing basketball since I was 6.
Okay.
So
And what is the game like in Taiwan?
very different. I think there's a lot more, it's higher paced. It's a lot faster. Guys shoot a lot of threes as well. We don't have quite the athleticism that they have here, but they make up for it in other ways.
Basketball obviously needs to develop from a women's point of view as well in South Africa. You've now been involved for a while. How do you see that? What needs to be pushed for the agenda to really start growing in South African women's awareness of the game?
Can you elaborate more on that?
So I'm saying, what do you think needs to happen for more South African women to start playing basketball?
I think we need to come together and notice that the talent is there, you know, but we need to come together as women and notice that we are here to help one another, you know. I mean, you know, when playing together, there are some people that tend to like shift away, you know, but we shouldn't be scared to shift away. We need to be there for each other, you know, help each other to grow and, you know, become a wonderful sport of women, basically.
We've started off by talking about the league. Just give me the workings of the league, how many teams, etc., and how does it work towards a conclusion at the end of the league?
Sure.
There's 9 teams,
So they play round robin games in their groups.
and essentially after they
Played all their group games, they go to semifinals and finals.
All right.
Yeah.
And where are these teams, these 9 teams based, Ben?
Based pretty much all over South Africa. You have Limpopo, Mpumalanga,
Northwest,
Cape Town has a team, KwaZulu-Natal, and there's a couple teams here in Gauteng as well.
And eventually, is there a chance for from this league that representation is chosen for South Africa to take it overseas and go and play against other countries or other leagues for that matter?
We would hope so.
I would love to see the league grow to a point where we have maybe a representative go play against the Mozambican league champions, or even up in Zimbabwe and other sub-Saharan African countries, you know.
You raise a very interesting point. How is the standard of our neighbors compared to ours? Right now?
I think the leagues last a little bit longer. They play more games, and really when you play more games, you have more opportunity to grow and expand your talent and pretty much just be in that environment. And we see other teams, when they play in their competitions, they're a lot more prepared for that sort of competition.
Let's talk about your training that you do, and again, fall back to be for netball and how that has shaped for what you do in basketball.
Okay, so at netball, we normally had like training 4 times a week. We also had like gym sessions in the morning. So I don't think there's been a shift between netball training and basketball training, you know. Obviously,
Yeah, how do you apply some of the game plans perhaps that there was with netball and basketball? Is it comparable?
you know, basketball is too competitive. Like there's a lot going on there. Like how players see themselves compared to netball. It's different.
Okay.
It's different. It's a lot different. I won't lie. Like he also mentioned that shooting in the threes and all of that. At netball, it's not that, you know. And I think how we play at netball is totally different to basketball.
Clearly.
Yeah.
From your point of view, training-wise, I mean, with no disrespect, you're not the tallest man, obviously, so you have to hustle more, don't you?
Yeah. So for me, training twice a day is nothing
new.
Uh-huh.
I've had to do it, and it's helped me level the playing field a little bit.
Of course.
Yeah.
And how do you stay sharp? What do you do? So if you train twice a day, just give me a look at, lastly, in what you do training-wise.
A lot of work in the gym, a lot of work on my physical conditioning, but also from a skills perspective, training to play against
Guys that are maybe more athletic than me.
Brilliant. I really have enjoyed chatting to you about a sport that I think has the potential to be really large in South Africa. So to both of you, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Ben Meiburg en Tensalo Setoli wat praat oor basketbal en hoe belangrik dit is in Suid-Afrika vir nog 'n sport wat 'n sogenaamde Cinderella sport is wat eintlik meer blootstelling nodig het. Ja, ek moet erken ek is 'n ongelooflike koffiesnab en as jy is, dan drink ons net hierna 'n koppie koffie saam met Wild Cafe. Gaan maak solank vir jou 'n koffie en drink sommer saam. Net hier op Goeiemôre Good Morning. Dis lekker om jou saam te hê as jy nou net aangesluit het. Môre.
Ons het sopas na 'n video van The Wild Cafe gekyk, 'n plek wat met hulle unieke spyskaarte behoorlik opspraak maak. Nou vandag kuier ons saam met die eienaar, Shanae Joubert, en ook die bestuurder Jason Prinsloo, en ons gaan gesels oor die hartklop agter The Wild Cafe, hulle onblusbare passie vir die kuns van kos en koffie, en later gaan ek ook blykbaar 'n proefkonyn vir een van hulle kenmerkende koffie-ervarings wees. Baie welkom aan albei van julle.
Baie dankie dat jy kan wees.
Goed, so Shanae, hoe het die idee vir The Wild Cafe ontstaan?
So ek het saam met my ouers baie oor see gereis.
Ja.
En ek het hierdie twee konsepte gesien wat ek graag bymekaar wou sit. En dit het ongelukkig nie so presies uitgedraai soos wat ek dit wou gehad het nie, maar inteendeel het dit eintlik beter uitgedraai. En my familie was maar nog altyd besigheidsmense, so ek het maar met daai entrepreneuriese ingesteldheid groot geword en baie geleer van hulle af en gesê ek wil iets vir myself doen en iets bereik en hard werk vir dit.
Nou, iets wat vir my nogal uitstaan is die feit dat julle die kafee as 'n wegbreekplek van die alledaagse gejaag beskryf. So, hoe kry mense dan reg om daardie spesifieke atmosfeer ook te skep?
So dit baie mense, baie kliënte wat na ons toe kom, sê sodra hulle daar instap, dan voel hulle net daar's 'n anderste atmosfeer. Hulle sê dit voel of hulle nie in Pretoria sit nie en dat dit voel of hulle iewers oor see sit en net bietjie kan asemhaal en ontspan. Veral met die, jy weet, die wild atmosfeer nou natuurlik en dan ook die plante en al daai goed. So dit gee mense bietjie daai kalmerende atmosfeer. So ja, ons het daai probeer skep net om te sê, weet, dit is iets uniek en dit is iets anderste.
Goed, Jason, nou Sinead al redelik baie agtergrond vir ons gegee, maar ek wil graag by jou ook weet, want ek meen, daar is soveel restaurante en soveel koffiewinkels, maar wat laat The Wild Cafe uitstaan?
Ek moet definitief sê, dit is ons pro-ervarings wat ons nou hier so gemaak het.
Ja.
Weet wat, ons koffie en alles met die, met die, ek stammel nou hier so, met die verskillende goedertjies wat ons hier so voorberei het vir julle en als, wat dit nou uitstel vir die mense dat ietsie meer unieks is vir hulle.
Ja, en ek dink ook die kombinasie daarvan. Ek dink dit is wat dit vir my so oulik maak, want dit is nie noodwendig iets waaraan almal kan dink nie. Ek bedoel, wie het nou gedink koffie saam met iets soet, maar ek sien baie uit om nou te proe. Nou, die kombinasie van reg Suid-Afrikaanse geure en dan die Amerikaanse sogenaamde comfort food is ook fascinerend. So, hoe het julle by, ek wil amper sê, die samesmelting van hierdie twee wêrelde uitgekom?
So toe ons oor see was ons in Amerika en wat ek raak gesien het is daai Amerikaanse pannekoeke, daai groot pannekoeke. So dit is wat ek bedoel het, dit het nie heeltemal uitgedraai soos wat ek het wou gehad het nie, want ons het daai pannekoeke op ons menu. Jy weet die Amerikaanse flapjacks met die dessert en alles op. En daai het nie so gewild geraak soos wat ons gedink het nie en toe het ons begin dink, jy weet, ons moet uit die boks uit begin dink en ook 'n ander betrekking doen. En toe die mense begin meer gewoond raak aan daai Amerikaanse, jy weet, pannekoeke en goeters. So ons het probeer die twee konsepte bymekaar sit, bietjie Suid-Afrikaanse kos, jy weet, jou boerie broodjie en goed en dan 'n Amerikaanse burger. As ek dit so kan stel op ons menu, so ietsie van alles van albei gemeng.
Nou Jason, ek dink jy sal nogal vir my hierdie antwoord, goeie antwoord kan gee, want wanneer jy mens kyk na julle spyskaart, daar is 'n groot verskeidenheid, maar wat is daai absolute moet-proe drankie of dan nou dis op die spyskaart?
Ek sal definitief die Philly cheesesteak toastie voorstel.
Ja.
Hy het net 'n regte kombinasie van soet en sout daarbey. So dis een wat ek sal definitief voorstel. Goed sommer dit gepair is een van ons melkskommels, byvoorbeeld die Oreo een. Hy is baie goed saam met dit.
En dan die konsep van proe-ervarings is nou baie gewild, die sogenaamde tasting, soos wat baie mense dit ook ken. So wat het julle laat besluit om hierdie aspek deel van die koffiewinkel of kafee te maak?
So ons sou definitief 'n nuwe ervaring geskep het. Wat mense wil, jy weet, hulle wil iets anders te doen as net 'n normale ete doen. En boonop dit, as hulle kom vir die tasting, dan voel hulle, jy weet, ons kyk deur die menu, ons wil graag sien wat het Wild Cafe. Soos een van ons baie bekende tastings is ons milkshake tasting, wat gepair word met ons klein porsies van ons menu, wat bietjie uitbeeld van wie is Wild Cafe en wat kan ons vir julle bied met kos ook en nie net met ervarings nie.
Nou is my vraag, wat kan julle vanoggend vir ons bied? Julle het nou 'n paar goedjies saamgebring, so kom ons begin.
So hierdie is twee van dieselfde geure gepaar, so met die fudge en die koffie, om daai geurprofiel meer uit te bring. So gewoonlik doen mense twee verskillende geure, maar ons het besluit doen twee geure saam om daai geur regtig uit te beeld.
So nou moet ek begin proe. Kan ek net 'n glasie vat of
hierdie enetjie is ons hazelnut.
Goed.
Enetjie nou heel pepper.
Hazelnut.
So nou kom die hazelnut fudge.
Hazelnut fudge. En hoe werk dit dan nou? Slukkie en dan 'n happie?
Yes, dit is korrek.
Goed, kom ons probeer. Dis baie lekker. Ek dink wat vir my uitstaan is die feit dat dit is soet, maar as gevolg van die feit dat die koffie ook soet is, kom mense dit nie regtig agter nie. Dis net 'n lekkere kombinasie. Okay. Volgende een, ons het min tyd, so ons moet weer hierdie koffie draf.
Ons tiramisu.
Ja, dit klink vir my.
Ja.
Met die koffie fudge.
Koffie fudge. Ek is gaande oor tiramisu. So hierna sien ek baie uit. Ek dink ek hou meer van hierdie een. Hy is nie so soet soos die ander een nie, Maar lekker balans.
Ja, beslis. Dan
Volgende een?
het ons salted caramel.
So
Goed.
die salted caramel fudge.
Goed, okay. Salted caramel. Doen ek dit reg?
Ja,
Jy moet maar
beslis.
sê, né? Kyk, daar kom hy lekker deur, lekker nasmaak. Ek is nou so 'n bietjie in twee geskeer oor hierdie een en die vorige een. Maar goed,
Ek dink elkeen voel jy so die vorige een, daai een is beter of hierdie een is beter.
is jou gunsteling. Goed, en dan die
En die
laaste
laaste een
een.
is ons Turkish Delight.
Jy het met die Turkish light fudge.
Julle maak dit vir my moeilik, hoor, want Turkish Delight is ook een van my gunsteling.
Ek sal ook so sê.
Lekker, baie lekker nasmaak.
Ja.
Ek kan nie besluit nie. Ek gaan sê dis tussen die Turkish Delight en die tiramisu. Ek gaan nie kies nie.
Mense hoef nie. Jy kan sê almal is ewe lekker.
Nou maar julle, baie dankie vir julle moeite. Ek dink ek moet nou eenvoudig net 'n draai by die kafee self kom maak.
Ja.
Maar ons hou vir julle dop en ek sien uit daarna om te sien of julle met nog geure gaan eksperimenteer. Jason, dankie dat jy ook saam gekom het. So professioneel met die handskoentjies so.
Dankie.
Ons waardeer dit.
Dankie.
En ja, mag julle net van krag tot krag gaan.
Dankie, ons
Baie
gaan
dankie,
weer.
waardeer
Ek gaan
dit.
nou die res van hierdie koffie klaar drink want ek het soveel as moontlik energie nodig vir die res van die dag wat voorlê. Maar moenie weghop nie, want Kurt Darren kuier net hierna met 'n nuwe oorwurm by ons. Jy's ingeskakel by Goeiemôre, Good Morning. Maak ook seker jy gaan volg ons op al ons sosiale media platforms. Ons kuier net hierna verder. Jy kyk na Goeiemôre, Good Morning en is vanoggend my voorreg om met die Sokkie Koning te gesels. Na die reuse sukses van sy onlangse treffers Hop Hop Spinnekop, Oorwurm en 6-7, keer hy nou terug na die sokkie vloer met sy nuutste enkelsnit. Vandag gesels ons oor langarm en liefde en ek verwys natuurlik na Kurt Darren. Ek doen dit altyd, jy weet, dit is my gunsteling.
Daai was meisie se tyd, daai ding.
Maar dit is nie 'n Kurt Darren treffer as daar nie 'n deel is van die liedjie nie.
Okay.
Ek hoor vir hom,
Got
hom
you.
raak. Dit is kenmerkend. Kurt, baie welkom. Dankie dat jy weer hier by ons
Baie
kuier.
dankie.
Goed, so ons het onlangs ons het jou onlangs hier gehad om te gesels oor 6-7. Ek meen jy was hier gewees met Hop Hop Spinnekop as ek reg kan onthou en wie kan dan 'n oorwurm vergeet? Ek dink dit is nogal een wat ons redelik bybly.
Daai dag daar by daai tafel.
Ja, nou 6-7 was nou so 'n bietjie rustiger geweest as ek dit so kan stel. Rustig. Ek weet nie hoe om dit eintlik te stel nie, maar hierdie is nou weer bietjie meer iets vir die dansvloer.
As ek sê was meer Samsung
Ja,
en dit gaan oor daai hele move
ja.
en as ek dit doen by shows of vertonings is dis malligheid. Dis regtig. Dis ek weet presies wat gaan gebeur en dan gebeur dit met alle ouderdomme en dis mal. En dit is so 'n lekker ervaring daai te doen. Ek weet net daar's een ding wat my pla. Hoekom is daar American voor my gesig daar en dan? Is dit deel van die is dit deel van die onderhoud? Moet ek met daai ding gaan dans of?
Nee, weet jy wat, dit is vir ons stylsegment.
O. Okay.
Maar ons kykers kan dit nou nie sien nie, want dit is nou
Ek
agter die
vang dit die
skerm.
hele tyd.
Het jy 'n fobie vir daai winkelpoppe?
Wel, sy kyk my skeef.
Ja, dis nogal, ek moet vir jou sê, daai gesiggie is nou nie, dis nie iets waarop jy wil afkom wanneer jy vroegoggend hier by die ateljee opdaag nie.
Nee,
Baie van ons spanlede
maar back to ja, so ja, dit was lekker om 6-7 te sing. En ek miskien net gedink is tyd, is jy okay? Ek miskien net gedink is tyd vir back to basics. In ander woorde, kom ons doen. Is jy okay? Kom ons doen 'n langarm liedjie.
interessant wees.
Langarm en liefde.
Ja.
Dit sê als. Langarm en liefde. Ek sing mos oor langarm en liefde my hele lewe lank. So vir nou, that's it. En ek kan nie wag vir die liedjie uitkom nie. Dat die mense net bietjie weer lekker kan sokkie, want die mense het gevra, wanneer kan ons weer 'n sokkie liedjie?
Ja, ek dink ons het dit nogal gemis. Ek meen daar was nou Hop Hop Spinnekop.
Dit was nie regtig tradisionele
kon nie
sokkie.
vas dans. Ja, jy kan as jy regtig wil.
Ja.
Met oorwurm dieselfde, maar ek moet wel vir jou sê, maak nie saak by watter troue mens is nie. Daar's gewoonlik almal is gewoonlik op die dansvloer sodra op spinnekop begin.
Ja. Dan doen hulle 'n snaakse sokkie.
Allerhande baie snaakse
Ja.
danspassies wat daar uitkom, jy weet, na aanleiding
Ja.
van hoe hulle dink 'n spinnekop behoort te dans. Goed, nou Langarm en Liefde. Hoe lank het jy aan hierdie liedjie geskryf en
Dit is eintlik Neil Scoombie wat die liedjie geskryf het al die pad in Nieu-Seeland en ons het net van die woorde herskryf wat dit meer vir my pas. So ek en Ernst het dit gedoen. Maar het kom met die melodie en ons gedink is baie sterk en ons gaan 'n lekker produksie doen en toe doen ons hierdie lekker produksie. En jy sal hoor dis kind of catchy. En die mense wil net party met hom.
Ek wil bietjie stil staan by die klank van hierdie liedjie want ek dink daar word nostalgie ook vasgevang. Waarom is
hoor?
Ja,
Hoor.
waarom is dit so belangrik vir jou?
Dit moet wees. Jy weet, ek wil nooit hê een liedjie moet dieselfde klink as 'n ander liedjie wat ek al vrygestel het nie. En dit is moeilik, jy weet, ek weet nie hoeveel liedjies ek al vrygestel het, ek ver oor die 30 albums of wat ook al. Maar met hierdie ding, daar is 'n paar goedjies, miskien daai tipe goed. Wat jy moet vasvang in hierdie tipe goed. Want daar as ek daar op die verhoog staan en ek sing, ek moet dit voel in my liggaam.
Ja.
Dit laat my ek sê danse nie. Ek is glad nie 'n danser nie.
Ek gaan met jou verskil.
Ek is glad nie 'n danser nie. As ek op die stage is en daai musiek vat my en ek voel hom, want dis wat dit doen. Dan sal ek begin beweeg. Hoe ek beweeg, weet ek nie. Maar ek het net 'n jol op die stage en hierdie soort liedjie Langarm en Liefde doen dit vir my.
En ek het eindelose respek vir jou want ek onthou van een fees waar jy 'n besering opgedoen het. En jy het ten spyte daarvan nog steeds, jy was op die verhoog gewees met hop spinnekop en jy het saam met die dansers beweeg en jy sê dit glad nie kon sê nie.
Ja, en dis die weirdste ding want ek kan mos nie stil sit nie. Elke keer as ek hier kom, vandag is ek gesond. Ek kan dit nie glo nie. Maar it's weird. Dit voel weird dat niks gebreek is nie of getrek of ene want gewoonlik as ek hier kom is daar iets verkeerd of 'n gekraakte rib of 'n stuk glas deur my voet en daai tipe goed. Maar ek kan nie stil sit nie. So ek's avontuurlustig.
Ja.
Ek wil net beweeg. Ek kan nie in 'n hoek sit en kind of rest on my laurels tipe ding. Ek love dit om daarby te besig te wees en vandag voel ek fantasties.
Ons is baie dankbaar dat jy fantasties voel en dat jy gesond is en dat daar geen skete of pyne vandag dan
Baie
is nie.
dankie.
Veral ook na aanleiding van die res van die dag wat voorlê. Jy weet, belangrike afsprake en so aan. Daar sy.
Het hom.
Wat sou jy sê is die geheim of die wenresep vir 'n goeie sokkietreffer?
Vir my is dit as jy loop op 'n liedjie, soos 'n sokkie liedjie. As jy loop op 'n liedjie, jy moet kan loop, dink net bietjie aan met meisie of selfs hop of wat ook al. You just go. Jy kan loop. Dink jouself op 'n treadmill.
Ja.
En as jy skielik iets ingooi in daai liedjie in waar jy struikel, gaan dit nie werk nie. Dis waar. Soos 'n like 'n weird chord wat inkom of 'n weird breek in die ding wat ook al. En jy struikel, dan werk dit nie vir wat saam. Is dit simpel genoeg?
Nee, wel mens wil verkieslik nie. Ek dink as ek dit kan opsom, sou ek sê mens wil verkieslik nie op die dansvloer neerploeg nie. So dit maak vir my heeltemal
100%.
sin. Nog minder van 'n treadmill afval.
100%.
Jy weet dit.
So dis hoe ek dit uitwerk, ja. Ja, gaan in die gym en ek skryf dit goed.
En wat is vir die lekkerste? Ek meen jy het nou verwys na die feit dat jy daai liedjie moet voel ook, jy weet wanneer jy op die verhoog is, maar wanneer jy nou so 'n liedjie sing, wat is vir die lekkerste deel daarvan? Is dit om te sien hoe die mense dit geniet of hulle sing meeste van die tyd elke woord saam ook?
Ja, so as jy met 'n nuwe liedjie moet hulle nog ontdek.
Ja.
Te lank in die Kaap. En met hierdie nou wat Vrydag vrygestel was, want dit is mos Maandag vandag, né?
Dit is so ver ek weet is dit Maandag vandag.
Die liedjie wat Vrydag vrygestel was, ek hoop teen die tyd het die mense die naweek gevat om dit lekker te stroom.
Ja.
En die woorde te leer en saam met te sing by die feeste, want dit is wat ek doen feeste.
Ja.
Kyk, ek was altyd 'n balladeer, altyd 'n minnesanger, tot meisie, en toe besluit die mense nou, ek moet nou dans sing.
Kaptein, jy weet, daar's 'n hele paar. Jy is altyd so beskeie. Daar is 'n hele paar sokkietreffers op jou kerfstok. Ek dink net niemand kan kers vasvou by jou nie.
Ja, maar die ding is, hulle moet hulle oog op hulle eie balle, jy weet, hulle moet hulle eie games speel en dit is so lekker vir my om jong kinders selfs te help en wat ook al, but ek gaan vir nog lank hier wees. So,
Hoor.
moet asseblief nie vir my vra nie, wanneer gaan ek aftree? Ek onthou, voor ek kinders gehad het, voor ek getroud, toe ek verloof raak aan Dunay,
Ja.
dan sal ek kinders na my toe kom. Ek weet, ek is so nou, jy's verloof, so obviously gaan jy dit nou 'n bietjie stadiger vat.
Ja.
Dan sê ek,
Luister, jy gaan moet terugkom vir nog 'n onderhoud van die tyd het ons ingegaan.
come on, man,
Ek
die
is so
storie was
jammer.
so lekker.
Kom kuier weer asseblief.
Okay.
Ons is môre weer terug. Totsiens.